Yeah.
It's Mixed on the
Yeah, yeah. About to hear me?
Mic test.
Mic test.
It's Mixed on the
to another edition of Stick to the Script Current Events, aka the Hebrew News. My name is Shamar Yah. To my left,
Izar Allah.
Izor. And, we're pretty much, you know the deal. We come and we're reporting on some of these stories or keeping the nation informed on some of the things that are not only privy to our people, maybe relevant to the truth. You know, these could be selling points while you're teaching, so on and so forth. Just things that we feel the nation should be abreast of. Go ahead and switch us over to the PowerPoint.
Oof. So I am going to read Sirach chapter 5 and 15. Because this is something that we all must do at all times, whether you're in the truth or out of the truth. Because everything that you do concerns your soul, your well-being. So Sirach in 5:15 reads, "Be not ignorant of any matter, of anything, in great matter or a small." So the moral of the story is don't be ignorant in anything, whether it's something that's real big concerning the whole world or something that's real small just concerning you. It says, be not ignorant. Because the root word to ignore, to ignorant, is ignore. So the Most High is basically telling us don't ignore any matters. You should always know everything at all times.
You got that feed, AV?
No, sir.
You said no?
No. Okay, so what you want to go into?
What about now?
No. What's the deal?
Hey, we got it out. Yo, we got it. We got it.
Go ahead, switch over to it. And there we go. Sheesh. More than 230 people fatally shot in shootings over the 4th of July weekend. So as much of, our people want to celebrate and shuck and jive and do all these things, it's also a time where the crime rate spikes like crazy. At least 233 people were killed and 618 people were injured by gun violence and more than 500 shootings across the country during the 4th of July weekend. And get this is a 26% drop from last year's holiday weekend, according to the latest data compiled by the Gun Violence Archive. According to data released Tuesday morning, which looks at shootings from 5 p.m. Friday through Monday, there were 314 fatal shootings with 751 injuries during the same period last year. The significant drop in shootings and shooting victims comes as a major cities nationwide confront a surge in violent crime. So, you know, as much as our people out there celebrating, our people are also out there getting killed. Still a whole lot of violence that takes place during that time and a whole lot of crime that spikes. You know, I mean, it's the perfect time. Everything, it's booms and bangs anyway. Who's supposed to notice the difference between, you know, a firework versus a gunshot? There's really no difference. Go back to the PowerPoint. We get into some of the meat. Officials say Florida man charged in foiled murder-for-hire plot plan to blame Black Lives Matter. Daniel Slater, 51, of Jupiter, Florida, is accused to hire someone to kill his ex-girlfriend, her sister, and the sister's husband. A Florida man accused of hiring a hitman to kill his ex-girlfriend and her family planned to pin the murders on the Black Lives Matter movement, federal authorities alleged. The man, Daniel Slater, 51, of Jupiter, was arrested last year on charges for murder for hire, possession with intent to distribute a controlled substance, and conspiracy to possess. He is accused of soliciting an associate to help him kill his ex-girlfriend, her sister, and the sister's husband in the foiled plan. Authorities began investigating Slater in February 2020 after the body of a 26-year-old woman was found in Everglades National Park in Miami, the complaint says. According to the Latin Times, the woman was identified as Brienne Schlabach. So he was planning on killing his ex-girl, her boyfriend. Planned on killing a total of 3 people. But look who he said he was going to blame, the Black Lives Matter movement. And it's crazy because you're seeing a whole lot of these things that are starting to happen. People are painting crimes, wearing blackface, wearing those super realistic silicone masks, committing crimes. Because it's just same description as always, right? It's a black male about this tall. He's a black male. He either has hair or he doesn't. But typically speaking, that's going to open the door that's going to open the floodgates for a whole lot of harassment, a whole lot of accusations, a whole lot of arrests that happen in our communities simply because, someone says that it was a black male. That's the only description that they're going off of. So you even saw after the George Floyd protests how there were white people that were typically inciting riots. Regular people or cops in plain clothes that were amongst the crowd. You see a whole lot of that kind of stuff. And they're always trying to pin it on us when the truth is they're the ones that are agitating both sides. They're the ones that commit the crime that call for those protests, and they're the ones in the protests that commit crimes to cause for these armed militias and these white supremacists to start raising up in defense.
Yeah, they're the provocateurs.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. It said the man, Daniel Slater, a criminal complaint alleges that Slater thought his girlfriend's family had ruined his relationship. He offered to give the associate money and drugs for carrying out the crime, according to the document. Slater was arrested after a person described as his associate began working for the FBI. So in order for him to not go down, he took out his boy. Now we got to talk about COVID. So a lot of us have heard about the Delta, but there's now a Delta, Gamma, Beta, and Alpha COVID variant. Experts say it is more transmissible than ever the UK or Kent or Alpha variant, which previously dominated here. Delta is behind almost all new COVID infections. There are thousands of different variants of COVID circulating across the world. One of them, called Delta or B1617.2, appears to be spreading more quickly in some countries, including the UK. Viruses mutate all the time, and most changes are inconsequential. Some even harm the virus, but others can make the disease more infectious or threatening, and these mutations tend to dominate. Those with the most potentially concerning changes are called variants of concern. They are kept under the closest watch by health officials and include the Delta B.1.617.2, which currently accounts for 99% of new COVID cases in the UK. The Alpha, first identified in the UK, which has spread to more than 50 countries and appears to be mutating again. Beta, first identified in South Africa, but which has been detected in at least 20 other countries, including the UK. And the Gamma, which was first identified in Brazil, but which has spread to more than 10 other countries, including the UK. So there's no evidence that any of them cause much more serious illness for the vast majority of people. They're just highly spreading. So they said that they have the same death rates as the COVID that we've all come to know and love, but it's a lot more contagious, so they can spread a lot more often. Vaccines offer higher protection against severe illness with COVID-19, including infections caused by variants of concern. It's funny that they say that. First, before we move on, let's get to Matthew chapter 24. Matthew chapter 24. Give me verse 7.
Matthew 24, verse 7.
Mhm.
For nation shall rise against nation,
Uh-huh.
and kingdom against kingdom.
Uh-huh.
And there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes and diverse places.
So we see the nation rising against nation. You know, we see the extremist groups. We see the war in the streets. We see our people getting gunned down. We see, you know, the Proud Boys, the Three Percenters, all these Edomite militia groups that are rising up as a result of the recent climate. We see the nation against nation. Then he said, kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines. So there's going to be a lack of food, which we're going to see, and pestilences, which are diseases. Now you see that COVID went from one virus that really wasn't nobody worrying about to 4 different strains that are spreading across the world. Africa, the UK, you know, it's in all corners of the globe. And a lot of these countries are being devastated by, you know, the COVID, the variants of concern, as they're calling it, that are surging, and the cases are going back up. Even LA County, they said there's like 2,700 new cases. I think that was earlier today. Reported 2,700 new cases, and that was the highest that they've seen since February. So it's already ramping back up. And Esau made it seem like he had everything under control and everything was cool, and the government said that it's safe now, but the Most High was like, look, there's going to be these pestilences. These diseases are going to exist. Go back to the PowerPoint. And it's crazy because in that article they said that the vaccine makes it safer, right? But 20% of COVID infections in June occurred among vaccinated. Los Angeles, a relentless surge of COVID-19 cases continued Thursday in Los Angeles County as another 2,700 cases were reported, with the percentage of infections occurring among family vaccinated residents steadily rising. In fact, during the month of June, 20% of all newly reported COVID infections in the county occurred amongst people who had been fully vaccinated. That was up from 11% in May and 5% in April. So in May, so you got to think, 11% of all the cases in May were people who were vaccinated, 5% in April. So the number of people who are vaccinated that are still contracting COVID is steadily on the rise. But yet you constantly hear, get the vaccine, get the vaccine. This is how you're going to be safe. If you don't have this or if you don't have that, you can't shop. You can't go into certain places. You have different kind of regulations if you're not vaccinated. And yet the number is steadily climbing. 20% is a significant amount. Out of 1 million, that would be 200,000. Out of 10 million, that's 2 million. LA County has a population of what, like 9 million? So even if everybody was vaccinated, there would still be about 20% or a fifth of the population that would still be getting COVID, according to the statistics that are being reported. So they constantly pushing this vaccine. It's got unlawful things in it. You know, we obviously don't condone receiving this vaccine, but it's constantly being pushed, and it doesn't even have a 100% effective rate. It's not a fail-safe. It doesn't 100% protect you. It doesn't. Its numbers are increasingly declining. It says, very few of them ended up hospitalized, and even smaller numbers ended up passing away, Ferris says. So yes, if you are fully vaccinated, you have a lot of protection, which is what the vaccines have always been best at, protecting people from serious illness and death. And these vaccines, even with the Delta variant, are holding up very well. But how is that the case when all these people are still getting infected? And mind you, you could say, oh, well, they're not dying. There wasn't a humongous death rate even before the vaccine. I think there was a pretty big percentage of people that would get COVID and survive. So it's not like the vaccine is doing anything substantial. It's people are still getting sick. People are still, getting sick, whether they're dying or not. Go ahead.
Yeah, and then too, one thing that they're not telling the people is a lot of people are getting the COVID-19 vaccinations, which is Pfizer, Johnson and Johnson, and it's another one. They're dying
Moderna.
more people are dying from getting the COVID shot than just getting COVID.
Mm-hmm. All kind of rare heart conditions. Actually, bring us back to the PowerPoint. That's a perfect transition into this.
And after that, I want to get a scripture
Con.
because it's no way you can't escape the Most High. And
Exactly.
we're gonna show you that according to scripture.
You want to get that first?
Yeah, we can get it right now. Let's go to 2nd Ezra 15.
15 what verse?
You can start at verse 4. 2nd Ezra 15 and 4. 4.
4. Excuse me. 2nd Ezra chapter 15, verse 4. For all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness.
So the Most High is saying all the unfaithful are going to die in their unfaithfulness. That's those who don't keep the Most High's law, right? Those who he gave the covenant to. But read the next verse.
Behold, saith the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world.
So these plagues are hitting the world from Asia all the way to America. It's hitting the world. You got SARS, coronavirus, everywhere, right? Everybody's suffering from this disease, right? This deadly disease, this deadly pandemic. But go ahead.
The sword, famine.
The sword, people are dying, as he read earlier.
Dying.
A lot of violence happened during 4th of July, which he said you can't distinguish a gunshot from a firework. A lot of people who chose to take that time to be wicked and pull out their guns and start killing people on the 4th of July. But go ahead.
Famine.
So that famine is coming. It's already here because if you're eating GMO food, it does not have any nutritious value for you because all the real nutrients have been stripped away from that. You're just eating junk. That's a famine because now your body, the body need nutrients and it can't even get it from the plants because it's a genetically modified plant now. But go ahead.
Death.
People are dying, continuing to die, right? But go ahead.
And destruction.
And destruction is coming on the world right now, and we seeing it. They're getting ready to shut California back down again because of this Delta variant coronavirus. Everybody that got the shots and all that stuff, now they don't even care if you had the shot. You still got to get tested all over again, and they talking about shooting you up again with another shot. But this is the Most High. You cannot escape his destruction. So you got anything else after that?
Nah, I just want to say, keep that scripture in mind. We might have to hold that because there's a whole lot of what the Most High or, what the scriptures are bringing out that we actually are going to be going over. So this switch us back over to the PowerPoint. Woman's sudden paralysis linked to rare J&J vaccine reaction. A Houston woman spent 22 days in the hospital suffering from a rare disorder known as Guillain-Barré that she said her doctor determined was brought on as a result of a very rare reaction to her COVID-19 vaccine. So they saying it's super rare, but keep in mind, even if it has, I'm big on numbers. If it has a 1%, and that's rare, that's pretty rare. Out of 1 million people, that's how many? What, 10,000? 10,000 people, assuming that is the statistic, that would be 10,000 people getting paralysis, losing their ability to walk. Jamie Walton says she was very cautious throughout the pandemic because she is fearful of getting the virus. About 3 months ago, she got the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. Then at the beginning of June, she said she started to feel numbness and tingling in her feet and hands. I know my body, and I knew something wasn't right. So I kept trying to go to different doctors, and I kept being told, you're dehydrated, you're fine, Walton said. One doctor told me I had anxiety. The otherwise healthy woman started falling and ended up paralyzed from the waist down and was not able to walk. She said she went to the emergency room twice and met with several doctors before she found out what was wrong. When this first happened, I honestly thought, am I dying, Walton recalled. It's so weird when you have everything being taken away from you, and it was pretty fast moving up the legs to my hips and where I was numb waist down when the arms and the fingers, then the arms and the fingers. So that's why I said, you have a massive survivability rate. Most of the people that have died, statistically, they've had underlying conditions, compromised immune system, but majority of the people who got sick were asymptomatic. A lot of people weren't having, that's what was so deadly, and that's what was causing a spread so much. Many people are asymptomatic, which means they don't have any detectable symptoms. They feel fine, but they're infected. So they're constantly pushing how dangerous COVID is. A lot of people who are getting sick feel fine and are only a danger to others. Okay, I can understand that being important. So take this vaccine. This is just one of many rare conditions that can come about. So now you're protected against this, this virus, but you've lost your ability to walk. That's the price. Come get this vaccine. It's going to make you safer. Yeah, but then you have these rare instances. How many of these are being swept under the rug by these humongous billion-dollar corporations? How much of this is being silenced by big medicine? How many people signed non-disclosure agreements and got their little however much money and got swept under the rug? This is just one woman who came and spoke out and was like, man, and remember, as far as I know, you don't have any legal recourse against these companies that have developed the vaccine. They're constantly pushing it and promoting it, but yet the governments can't hold the company accountable. You can't go through the government or go to the government to hold any of those companies liable for any kind of reaction that your body may face. And you can't go to those companies. So if you in the flock and you one of the many people, it's like playing Russian roulette with your health. You're in the flock and you're one of the many people who's gotten the vaccine, and then you mess around and lose your ability to walk. There's been heart conditions. There's been all kind of stuff that's linked specifically to vaccines, and you don't even have recourse. Now this woman might walk the rest, or might not be able to walk the rest of her life, and she can't even hold the company that was sworn to protect her and is being pushed as this practical superhero accountable.
That's absolutely right, because the CDC has made an agreement with the doctors to where you can't even sue them for their malpractices, which we can get that out. I want to bring out this scripture because it's sad that I don't care what nation you are, you got to be taught to and lied to about a vaccination that doesn't even work.
Right.
But we know what it is, Job 13:4. But we know what it is. They trying to do it's germ warfare. They trying to depopulate the earth only for the rich to survive. They said there's already Bill Gates and them already said there's too many people here. So
And at a time where all the billionaires are going to space. You see Elon Musk did his little trip this week.
yeah, they going to space. They got all the fruits and vegetables and stuff stored up.
Jeff Bezos.
But they know that vaccination don't work. That's why Donald Trump never got it, even though he said, yeah, I had the COVID, but I never got the shot. They just boosted his immune system to where his body would fight it off.
He's older, too. Ain't he like
Yeah.
67?
Yeah.
He's an old man, an
Yeah,
elderly man.
But let's read that scripture right quick.
Job 13.
And 4.
Job chapter 13, verse 4. But ye are forgers of lies.
So they telling you big lies to get you to take this coronavirus vaccine, right? And now you're getting sick, you're getting paralysis, heart attacks. Like I'm gonna keep saying it over and over. My friend's grandfather, he got the coronavirus shot. He died a week later, had a heart attack. And not only him, but there's other people coming out now and saying that their folks are dying after getting the COVID-19 shot. But go ahead, finish reading.
But ye are forgers of lies.
So they forgers of lies. All the CDC and all these doctors are with it, telling you to get the vaccine. It doesn't work. They know it's going to mess you up. Go ahead.
Ye are all physicians of no value.
They're physicians of no value. They would tell you that a concoction that they made up is better than natural medicine. Because what are those doctors called? The ones that naturally heal you?
Ooh,
Holistic
holistic.
healing doctors. Notice Dr. Sebi was one of the ones that got killed, and they was killing off other holistic doctors. Because the Most High, he made herbs and fruits and vegetables and stuff to heal your body. Your body will naturally heal itself from the COVID-19.
They claimed he died in a prison in Honduras from pneumonia of all things. As healthy as he was eating, as much as his research had proven, look up Dr. Sebi, by the way. He may not be current news, but he's still somebody important that I feel like everybody should know about, because he was sued in the 90s, I believe, for putting an ad in the New York Times saying that he can cure AIDS.
Yep.
And sure enough, when it went to trial, he was found innocent because they tried to charge him on two different things. First thing they tried to charge him on was a false accusation. He proved that he could cure AIDS. He brought in people who were once positive that were now testing negative. The second thing they tried to charge him with was practicing medicine without a license. He says, I haven't prescribed anything. I'm not practicing medicine. I'm only telling these people to change their diets. And because he won both,
Cases.
he won both of those cases. He was found innocent. They had to let him go.
Yeah.
So then he ended up dying of
Pneumonia.
pneumonia in a prison. That's what they claim. But still look him up. He's still someone important to know about. Switches back over to the PowerPoint. Speaking of pestilences, monkeypox. Who heard of that? Monkeypox. Sounds like a joke, right? Sounds like some kids play, you got the monkeypox. No, it's real. Confirmed a Dallas resident returning from Nigeria. Agencies seek exposures. A Dallas resident has been confirmed as having a case of monkeypox. The last outbreak of the rare disease taking place in the United States in 2003. Dallas County Health and Human Services reported the case on Friday, stating the resident had traveled from Nigeria back to Dallas and had been hospitalized but in stable condition. The CDC is working to identify fellow passengers on the patient's flights who could have come into contact with the individual. A patient did stop in Atlanta from Lagos, Nigeria, before arriving in Dallas July 8th and 9th, according to the CDC. The patient had a rash on July 7th and would report to the hospital on the 13th. The patient was found to have tested positive for monkeypox. So mind you, first and foremost, he was on a plane. Of all things, where planes don't have fresh air, they're recycling that air. So if he coughed, if he wipes anything on it, I mean, you know how diseases or infections spread. There's no telling how many people on that plane got sick, or how many people on that plane are, incubating, and they're going to infect someone else. So there could be another pandemic on the horizon. This time it's going to be monkeypox. The CDC says monkeypox, which is regularly found in Central and West African nations, begins with fever, headache, muscle ache, and malaise following an incubation period of 5 to 13 days. So I believe he checked in and he had a rash on the 7th. 13 days from that is the 20th. That means, or no, and they said, when did they say he got back? He arrived the 8th or the 9th. So there are likely cases of monkeypox that are still being discovered from that flight, because it takes up to 13 days, or it could potentially take up to 13 days before that incubation period ends. So there might be people sick right now that don't know. Then a rash will likely appear, going through different stages. Lesions will often begin on the face and progress before turning into red, pus-filled bumps before scabbing and falling off. According to the CDC, monkeypox was first discovered in 1958 when 2 outbreaks of a pox-like disease occurred in colonies of monkeys kept for research, hence the name monkeypox. The first human case of monkeypox was recorded in 1970 in the Democratic Republic of Congo during a period of intensified effort to eliminate smallpox. Since then, monkeypox has been reported in humans in other Central and Western African countries. Fascinating, because it sounds a lot like the plot to Rise of the Planet of the Apes. Remember that? The monkey was, he had this gas, and they were all in captivity, mind you. They were monkeys, and spoiler alert. Basically, without spoiling too many of the details, because it's a trilogy I recommend you watch. But there were monkeys in captivity that were being experimented on. They ended up making one of them hyper intelligent, and through this chemical. The chemical was deadly to humans, but it caused hyperintelligence in these apes. So pretty much they showed a map of how this man who was sick, he was a pilot, he got on a plane and it started this huge thing. And it's like, this is exactly what's happening. It comes from a monkey. This man gets on a plane, potentially have spread it and, gave it to everybody else. Their bodies are currently incubating it. And now the CDC is trying to get a hold of all those people, but you don't even know how many of other people they may have transferred it to. God forbid it'd be somebody that just had a whole bunch of stuff to do and came in contact with a bunch of other people, because now it's, 13 days from then. And all those people are talking and touching and, they're all around other people. Now you count 13 days from the time that they come into contact. You pretty much don't really have a real chance of containment if it's not done initially. But that's, the most I said, I'm going to bring these pestilences. There's going to be all these sicknesses, all these things. This hasn't been around since 2003, 18 years without a breakout or an outbreak. And now it's back. Switch this back over. California's central role in the eugenics movement. If you don't know what eugenics is, essentially it's the culling of a society or a specific group of people. So from 1909 to 1979, California sterilized people, which means they took away their ability to reproduce. These people can no longer have children. In public hospitals and other state institutions by force or deception. And if you just had to guess, between 1909 and 1979, who do you think was more likely to be targeted to no longer have children? Who would it be?
Us.
Who else would it be? The state apologized for its actions in 2003, but didn't ban the practice until 2014, another 11 years. How many of those got swept under the rug? How many of those signed NDAs? How many of those got paid off? This month, under a budget passed by the legislature and awaiting Governor Gavin Newsom's signature, the state agreed to pay reparations of up to $25,000 each to victims. First off, look at the verbiage, of up to. That means that not everybody's even going to get the guaranteed $25,000, first and foremost. Second, this was between a 70-year period of 1909 to 1979. There's a good chance a lot of those people are deceased.
That's a long time. And
That's
a lot of the
very
people
long
now,
time.
to 2014, they still was practicing. And it's a lot of people now don't even know that they was victims of sterilization. So how they even going to know to even get the money?
That's crazy. Because it did say by deception. So there are a lot of women that might be walking around even now that are a victim of that practice and don't know. And at the maximum, you can get $25,000. Imagine if someone took away your ability to have children for life. And they didn't even give it to them in 1912 when $25,000 could have at least bought you a house. I mean, come on. $25,000 is a good amount of money, but that don't go very far in 2021. That ain't no house money. That might be brand new car money, but you got to get one of the base model, low level, just off the lot cars. You 25 grand, but that's if you even get the 25 grand. You might have been sterilized in 2014. It's only been 7 years. We'll give you 11,000 in compensation. I mean, how could you even replace the ability to have kids? That's gone. That's done. They don't even have a chance to be able to have that anymore. And at the most, they're going to get $25,000. Women who were imprisoned and coerced into getting sterilized, a story first exposed by the Center for Investigative Reporting in 2013, would also be compensated. The payments would make California at least the third state after Virginia and North Carolina to pay victims of the eugenics movement. It's the third state out of 50. Doesn't mean it was the third or final participant. That means there could potentially be cases in the other 47 states that haven't even been addressed yet. Followers of the movement believe that people they deemed genetically unfit shouldn't be allowed to produce. Who do you think that they're going to consider genetically unfit? Hell, white people say that now. I don't want to pay this and that towards EBT and these welfare queens. They're sitting on their asses at home. They're not doing anything. Don't you think his mentality, he's really saying she's not fit to have those children? If you can't take care of them, don't have them. We hear that all the time. So who do you think, when these white doctors and white nurses and all these people in positions of authority are having these young black women or these black women in general come into their offices, what do you think they're talking to them about? What do you think they're selling to them? Or what do you think they're deceiving them into believing? Oh, you need surgery. Oh, you've got this, this, and that. We're going to get you taken care of. Might not even tell her. I mean, you got to understand the scope of like how many children could have or would have been born if all of those women's wombs were untouched. As much as the scriptures in the Most High says we're the sands of the sea, look at how many of us are dying, how many abortions there are yearly, how many what's that other one? Plan B. And then you have eugenics actively working against us. They're not bringing race into it, but it only makes sense. People who are unfit to have children. Man. Now this part might come as a shock. It has been well documented that California civic leaders helped popularize eugenics around the world, including Nazi Germany. So even the Germans or the Nazis, they're all terrible. That's like the worst thing somebody can call you in 2021. You bigot, you Nazi. The whole time, California was the one that helped the Nazis. It said they were the ones that helped popularize eugenics. You guys got a problem over there? What? You got too many of them. Have you tried sterilization? And they give that and let that be a test run. Let me see how that works out over there. And if it works out over there pretty well, then I'm going to bring it back and I'm going to do it here. Right here in California, Sunnyside, California, the little bit of heaven in America that everybody's trying to get to.
Yeah, remember after Project Paperclip, all them Russians from over there came over here.
Mm-hmm.
So they here using the same tactics.
Switches back over. On a different note, Huntington Harbor Bay water closed due to a sewage spill. I just wanted to highlight this because, we see so often these sewage spills. I don't know how many oil spills have been off the coast of California and Mexico. It's to the point where even if you go deep sea fishing, there's a lot of recommendations. And it's not like publicly posted, but if you talk to people or fishermen, a lot of them will, or some people recommend that you throw the fish back in at this point. Because even if it was a clean fish, if it's been swimming in sewage leaks, oil leaks. I remember before the last time I went to the beach and stepped in some oil. And it was just glued to my foot. It's a bunch of chemicals in the water. So even if it is a clean fish, it's living in filth. It's how, the water is polluted, the oil spills. What are you really getting? Where's the quality in that? The Huntington Harbor Bay water area in Huntington Beach was closed Monday night by the Orange County Healthcare Agency's Environmental Health Division. A sewage spill, which was caused by a cracked force main, is blamed for the closure. I don't even think they gave the details on how much. Huntington Harbor was also closed a day late August due to a sewage spill. So it's been multiple sewage spills within even the past year. So I don't know about going over there catching no fish, taking that home. LAPD makes arrests after protesters clash over transgender rights at a Koreatown spa. Dueling protests outside a Koreatown spa over transgender rights Saturday promoted a large police response and resulted in more than a dozen arrests. LGBTQ activists gathered outside the Wee Spa on Saturday morning to counter a protest against transgender access to the spa's facility. The Los Angeles Police Department declared an unlawful assembly in front of the spa near Wilshire and Rampart Boulevards around noon when the two groups of protesters began to clash, according to the police and videos posted on Twitter. Let me see. Most people did leave the area. No injuries have been reported. Let me see. There it is. This is what I really wanted to get to, is why they were protesting. The woman in the video, which was posted to Instagram, complains to staff at Wee Spa, and this is what they're calling this anti-LGBTQ, that a man had allegedly walked into the women's section and showed his genitals to young girls. The customer, the woman, complained about reportedly identified as a woman. So he went over to the women's section. She's saying, look, he disrobed, he's naked, walking around, chilling like it's all good. And they're like, look, it's kids in here. It's women, it's kids. Well, I identify as a woman. Not with that, with you guys swinging. Nah, I ain't no woman. So now people showed up to say that wasn't right. And then another group of LGBTQ protesters showed up in protest to their protest. So it's all kind of chaotic. But this is America. He is a man, the woman can be heard saying. He is not a female. There are girls down there, other women who are highly offended by what they just saw, and you did nothing. You sided with them. So this is what the spa put out. Like many other metropolitan areas, Los Angeles contains a transgender population, some of whom enjoy visiting a spa. The statement said, Wee Spa strives to meet the needs of all its customers. So they saying it's okay, we not quite, but money's money. So if he want to come in here and he walk around and it's women, I mean, it really gets to a point where they, transgenders and this whole LGBTQ, they have more rights even than heterosexual people. Because if a straight man walks into anywhere where women, or it's strictly women, he's immediately going to become a sex offender. But if he identifies as a woman, well, he's transgender. He has more rights. He's allowed to do that. He's expressing himself. Like, well, damn, I gotta just forget the kids then, huh? They just gotta, hey, sorry you gotta see that, but he identifies as a woman. It's abuse. But as long as you pledge your allegiance to Satan and you claim this different sexual orientations and all this kind of stuff, Satan is gonna protect you. Everybody, hey, well, you can't say that. That hate speech and all this other kind of stuff. But let it be, even a heterosexual man would have been persecuted and punished for that. But since he's identifying under this league of shadows, the LGBTQ, they give him a pass.
Yeah, that's crazy. And then, I'm going to take it back a little bit. Back in the 1970s, homosexuality was considered a mental illness.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to go to the perfect meme that somebody put up. Because, so-called June was Pride Month. And one of their slogans was, recognize us for who we are, don't disrespect us. But somebody made a meme, a post that was like, how is it that y'all want us to recognize you for who you are when you don't even recognize yourself or respect yourself for who God made you?
Exactly.
That's crazy. Because if you got a penis, you're a man. If you got a vagina, you're a woman. And God don't recognize you other than what you are, what he made you.
Exactly.
So if you're a homosexual, get right according to these scriptures, because this is the punishment. When Christ come back, we're going to read that, Leviticus 20 and 13. Because the Most High, he put it in man's natural ability to be able to recognize and make correct judgment. But this is the judgment. Because everybody say they love God, they love America, right? Leviticus 20 and 13 reads, it says, if a man, you going to read it?
If a man also lie with mankind,
So if a man lie with a man, how?
as he lieth with a woman.
So a man and a woman lay down, he put his penis in her vagina. They have sex. But he's saying if a man lie down with another man, as if he lying down with a woman to do that, what's supposed to happen?
Both of them have committed an abomination.
This is something that God hates. They have committed an abomination. Now let's get the judgment of their abomination. Go ahead.
They shall surely be put to death.
They shall live.
They shall surely be put to death.
They shall walk around in the street.
They
butt naked.
shall surely be put to death.
These laws have never been done away with. God said they should be put to death. And read the next part.
Their blood shall be upon them.
He said their blood should be on them. Because they went against God, against the natural order. So God ain't with the LGBTQ plus and all that stuff. They got to get put to death according to these scriptures.
Time. Take this time while you have it and repent.
Yeah, take this time and repent.
Take this time.
Recognize you for the body parts that God made you. A man is a man and a woman is a woman.
This is our grace period. Doesn't mean that we're absolved from our debt, because no company works that way. The Most High not working that way. But we have this time. If it's something that you genuinely struggle with, or you have that sexual trauma, like he was saying, it was I believe up until the late 90s that homosexuality was considered a mental illness. And in the studies, or in the people that were examined, a huge percent, I think it was 60% of them had a traumatic experience between the ages of 0 and 5. I think it was 90%. And then 60% was with a family member, if I'm correct. Look it up. Look it up. Look it up and look at the statistics and the numbers, and the fact that it was such an outrage not that long ago for it to have taken and been having grown so much in these past times, or these recent times. Take us back to the PowerPoint. Taco Bell is facing a food shortage. Yep. Even the fake meat is in rare supply. Taco Bell is warning that some of customers' favorite items might not be available. The chain apologized on its website Tuesday, saying that because of national ingredients shortages and delivery delays, that Taco Bell locations might be out of some options. Apologies for the inconvenience, and we hope to feed fans current Taco Bell cravings again soon. Excuse me. Taco Bell is the latest restaurant chain to be affected by global supply disruptions that have rippled across industries. Fast food chains have been hit particularly hard in recent months by a labor shortage and low inventory on some key ingredients. So we read the scriptures where the Most High said it was going to be famines. So if it's hard for all these locations, because they're not saying they don't have anything, they're just saying they don't have some of the favorites. So if it's difficult for them to have some of the favorites on a large scale, that means there is a lack of ingredients on a large scale. And even though most of the food that they're dealing with is processed, it's still meat, or it's still some kind of, I'm not going to say organic because it's like heavily processed, but it's still real meat, or it's still real food oftentimes, no matter what kind of meat or no matter what caliber, it's still food. So if they're facing food shortages, what do you think is next? Go back over to the PowerPoint. Supply chain interrupted. Here's everything you can't get now. Chicken, lumber, microchips, gas, steel, metals, chlorine, and ketchup packets. What do they all have in common? They're all nearly impossible to find. Shortages are popping up across the supply chain as the pandemic messes with shipping, demand, supply, and all other levels of the global economy. Here's what's hard to get, why, and for how long, according to the CNN business writers. The fried chicken wars are putting a strain on the poultry population. Major chains, including KFC, Buffalo Wild Wings, and Wingstop, are paying steep prices for chicken, and suppliers are having trouble keeping up demand because of difficulties attracting workers, the Wall Street Journal reported this week. So it's hard to get chlorine. It's hard to get computer chips. It's hard to get gas. It's hard to get ketchup packages. And lumber, I've seen the prices on lumber. They're ridiculous. Random Length lumber features hit a high record of $1,615 on Tuesday, a staggering 7-fold gain from the low in early April 2020. That's a big deal because lumber is the most substantial product that home builders buy. So they're also showing the effects of each. We know the effects of gas. Gas goes in everything. In the planes, the trucks, the cars, and there's not enough of a fleet, despite, a lot of these companies trying to go electric, there's not enough of a fleet to replace every gas-powered vehicle. So if planes can no longer ship supplies, and if trucks, which means trucks carry gas, trucks carry products, trucks carry produce from different countries, or not from different countries, but actually there's a lot of produce that comes from Mexico. A lot of it gets shipped from other countries. So a whole lot of these things, if there's no gas, there won't be any planes to fly crops. And this is just crops. A lot of people are going to freak out because they prefer luxuries. A lot of us, we like the lifestyle that we've become accustomed to, and people become very hostile when you so much as try to alter that lifestyle. Imagine how much more hostile they're going to be if there's no food. Ketchup packets, lumber, and mind you, they said that this is something that's in high demand because it's something that every homeowner, home builders buy. So that means there won't be hardly any houses built, or it'll only be built by certain companies. They're going to be cutting costs because lumber is out of the prices are out of control and super high up. And then what does that mean? No houses, no supplies. Metals. As countries switch to green energy, demand for copper, lithium, nickel, cobalt, and rare earth metals is soaring. Steel, which goes in a lot of things. So you having a whole lot of things that have always been very common, very cheap, very easy to acquire that are now in scarce supply. That's going to change a lot of people's lifestyles. But that's why the Most High said there's going to be pestilences, there's going to be a lot of death, there's going to be all these things that start hitting the earth, because we really haven't seen, we've seen a lot. And we have seen a lot of things get crazy. But like when you see movies like Day After Tomorrow, The Survivalists, you see these movies where it's really kill or be killed. It's crazy. It gets hostile. People act way differently. Everything. Look at, what was another one? The Book of Eli. How it was people, they found women in the streets and it was just like instantly ripping off clothes. They found soap and was willing to kill each other for it. Bandits was setting up, ambushes. Everything got chaotic. We've been seeing it in movies for years, but now it's actually really starting to become a reality. It's really starting to happen. Take us. Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to get another scripture because all these elements being in short supply, that's vengeance from the Most High, and He says that in His scripture. Let's get Sirach 39 and verse 29. We're gonna make it real quick and sweet. Go ahead.
Sirach 39:29. There be spirits that are created for vengeance.
Sirach 39 and 29.
29. Fire and hail and famine.
So famine, us not being able to get supplies and the things that we need, this is a famine. This comes from the Most High. Because these elements, if you like trucks, you know that trucks are sky high right now because they can't get these metals to make certain microchips for these trucks. So cars are high. The metal is high right now. Like I do some recycling, so metal used to be real cheap. Now you could get a little bit of metal and take it to the recycle place and get a whole lot of money for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's high right now. So it's higher than copper, which is
wow.
crazy because copper was higher than the regular steel. It's even higher than aluminum right now. So it's scarce. But because metal, all that stuff comes from the earth. But God, the Most High, He said famine is what? Go ahead, read.
And death. All these were created for vengeance.
So this is the Most High repaying the people back that don't want to keep His commandments. It's going to be a shortage of everything, which we also read in Matthew 24, right? So these famines is going to get worse and worse and worse. And y'all see the results of it because your gas is high, your medicine is high, and even good food, natural foods are real high. Because the GMOs don't cost nothing because, man, they bringing that stuff out of the lab. And it don't have no nutritious value.
By saying even that's getting harder to get because there's no gas to transport even the crap. So even for all the people that are satisfied eating the GMO foods and it's still good to me, or maybe it's your situation where you can't afford to eat organic, even that's going to be in short supply because of gas. So I hope everybody is preparing. Hope everybody, of course the scriptures say wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times. The Most High, we put our faith in the Most High, and obviously, the scriptures say who has counted on the Most High and was forsaken. We've seen the stories where the Most High provided for Israel. But we also see in wisdom where in Joseph in Egypt, he said the 7 years of plenty, he told Joseph to do what? To gather up and put it in the storehouses. All the EDD money, the loans, all these things that have been coming, everybody talking about the pandemic, use the money wisely. Get things that are essential. Get necessities. Take us back over to the PowerPoint. Priest outed via Grindr app highlights rampant data tracking. When a religious publication used smartphone app data to deduce the sexual orientation of a high-ranking Roman Catholic official, it exposed a problem that goes far beyond a debate over church doctrine and priestly celibacy. So for one, if you don't know what Grindr is, it's like the gay version of Tinder. You know how on Tinder, everybody meeting up? So, damn, you old, man. So on Tinder, that's like a hookup. Like if you want some quick action, everybody get on Tinder. That's like the most notorious hookup site. It's an app. So now with the whole homosexual thing, they produced an app called Grindr, and that's like Tinder but only for gay people. And the crazy part about it is because of this Grindr app, they're trying to highlight like, oh, they stole his data. Apple and all these companies steal data all the time. You have to accept cookies just to use most sites. But this dude is a high-ranking Roman Catholic priest. And as a matter of fact, let's switch back over to the PowerPoint. We're going to show you what they caught him doing. Let me see. Privacy activists have long agitated for laws that would prevent such abuses. So they're more upset about the fact that he was caught as opposed to the fact that this dude is a high-ranking Roman Catholic priest that was fined engaging in sexual activity. Privacy activists have long agitated for laws that would prevent such abuses, although in the U.S. they only exist in a few states and then in varying forms. But Bedoya said the firing of Baril should drive home the danger of this situation and should finally spur Congress and the Federal Trade Commission to act. That's crazy. So I mean, it's mind blowing because the major thing that they're trying to do is say how much of a problem is that his phone ousted him, but look at what he was doing. America is more concerned about the people who raise the red flag as opposed to the red flag itself. Why are you snitch? Like, yeah, that's the whole no snitching thing. Everybody's a whistleblower. Everybody like, man, what's his I want to say? In America, if you, what'd he say? In America, if you tell the truth, you committed treason. Ain't that the truth? Now they're trying to get laws enacted to be able to hide people's data so that if there's another priest out there sneaking and freaking with other men, he won't be exposed. Let me get a scripture real quick. Go to Psalms.
Psalm 19 and 20.
There it is. 19 and 20?
I'm gonna get it for you.
While you get that, let me see.
Psalms
read that for me.
94, verse 20. Shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee, which frameth mischief by a law?
Frameth mischief by a law. So, because he was ousted, and they didn't want that to happen, they're saying that it's such an outrage. Now they're looking and they're constantly agitating to get laws passed to protect people's personal data. You get ads targeted all the time. Say right now, I'm looking to buy a toaster. Watch tomorrow, Amazon's going to be like, here's the new deals on toasters today, because we're listening. No one has a problem with that. But then this gay high-ranking priest is engaging in sexual activity with other men at that, and now suddenly everyone's in outrage like, hold on, we can actually get exposed? That's a problem. There's actually people that could potentially put us out. Oh, no. Now there's a need for law. Now there's a need for change because they're framing their mischief by law. They want to continue to they want to continue to be in their wickedness and do what they want to do. So they're going to create these laws that make it seem like it's for everybody's betterment and protection, but it's really so that they can get away with their mischief.
Yep, and that goes back to the Child Molestation Act that these Catholic priests have.
Mhm.
They have it set up to where you cannot out a Catholic priest.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can look it up. Yeah.
You can't out them.
No, that's why none of them never go to jail for molesting all these kids.
Wow.
Yeah, they got it right now to where if you've been molested by a Catholic priest, you can go and collect some money. But these Catholic priests, they don't get outed from their position. They just get moved from another country or to another state to continue on doing what they was doing as a priest. Yeah.
Can't oust him. You get molested, sexually traumatized. The rest of your life, you're going to be dealing with that trauma and those issues. And yet, America put up a law to protect the priest and not the victim, not the molested. They frame in mischief by law.
I'm going to find it right quick.
Real quick, and while you getting that, switch us back over. Citing allegations, because this is the important part, citing allegations of possible improper behavior, the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops on Tuesday announced the resignation of its top administrative official, Monsignor Jeffrey Burrow, ahead of a report by the Catholic news outlet The Pillar that probed his private romantic life. The Pillar said it obtained commercially available location data from a vendor it didn't name that it correlated to Burrow's phone, to determine that he had visited gay bars and private residences while using Grindr, a data app popular with gay people. So not only is this dude meeting up, he going to gay bars. He's open. He's out there. They found him doing multiple things. So now all of a sudden, the cry is not the fact that he's doing all these things and he's this self-proclaimed man of God. No one's worried about that. No one's worried about how many people he may have sexually abused, how many children have, that invisible hand over their mouths that are afraid to speak up. No one's worried about that. Everyone just wants a law put in place so that no one else can be exposed.
I found it. I'm going to read it because they got a thing. It says, victim of abuse by priest, limited time to file a claim, righttofight.com. So right now they have it to where if you've been molested by any Catholic priest, a limited time, because you could get paid, but
it's a limited time.
It's a limited time.
Which means that they allocated funds and they said, okay, this is how much we're going to have to distribute. Once that's up, that's it. That's what limited time means. It means get supplies while they last.
I'm going to read it. It says, victim of sexual abuse as a minor by Catholic Church clergy should file a lawsuit. Call our expert Catholic clergy abuse legal team and get the settlement you deserve. So it's only going to be for a limited time. But mind you, why aren't they know all these Catholic priests have been raping children, molesting them, but they won't oust them. They're not going to jail or anything, but you're able to collect this money if you've been molested by them. But that's the sick world we live in.
And it ain't like it's $1 million, because everybody would have came forward and be like, I got molested, give me $1 million. It's not no substantial amount of money. I can practically guarantee that. And everybody that's doing this, they're not seeing justice. They just getting paid. That's literally, at that point, you just turn the victim to a prostitute. Because I'm not going to actually hold the person accountable. I'm not going to give you justice as a victim. What I will do is pay you for it. Is that not prostitution?
Yeah.
I'm not going to do nothing about the person that actually did it. I'm just going to give you some money. Like, that's supposed to make,
That's supposed to make it right.
that's supposed to make them feel better. Like, oh, okay, I got like 20 grand out of it. Man, I guarantee you, you talk to any of those people and they're going to say, I much would have preferred to never have that experience than I prefer to have this money. I guarantee it.
But this is the kicker right here, because it's in different states they have this. I'm going to read this. It says almost 1,700 priests and clergy accused of sexual abuse are unsupervised. So
1,700 that already committed abuse are unsupervised?
Yeah. They unsupervised.
That's literally the homosexual brothel. The Catholic Church is the homosexual brothel. You go there, you do whatever dirt that you want to, and then you just send them a check quietly. And mind you, then that means that what? Everybody knows that's where they can get away with it. So everybody, or all these homosexuals and pedophiles, are gonna suddenly are gonna have a sudden change of heart and want to be priests because they can get away with it.
Hold up, get the mic so the people can hear you. Shalom.
Crazy, dude.
Some of the Catholic Church own some of the biggest Boy Scouts, so you know that's filtering them in at a young age. You know, they go on these trips and that's like a breeding station. So
Yeah, they get
just
the
like-
trust of the children. That's messed up.
Yeah,
That's
just-
probably that's the 1,700 unsupervised right there, because he is the supervisor.
Right. And then not
Damn.
only that, when you like even in California, like San Pedro, the Catholic Church owns the biggest sexual offender homes. Like that's big money, but easy money. But why do they own most of those homes?
Yeah,
Because they the ones doing the abusing.
Right.
they do it from start to finish. They get them as young boys and trust them, abuse them. Then they give them some money and send them to one of the houses that they own, or some of the sexual abuse victim survivors.
Yeah, that's all
Then,
bad.
then those people who are now have a sexual traumatic experience are all over sexualized and confused. And then you got people who are unsupervised that was doing the molesting.
Molesting and all that.
And then now you got these people who are unsupervised, because you might not be able to be a priest. People might not let you be a priest, but who's to say that you can't be a Boy Scout, a leader? Or who's to say that you can't be at one of those sexual abuse or sexual victim houses? So now you then went through all this, and you get transferred to one of these housing allocations, and it could be a sexual offender there, and you don't even know. I mean, come on, man. Wickedness in high places. Switch us back over to the PowerPoint. Oh, we already are. Is that it? That's crazy. This is catastrophic flooding after heavy rains in Germany. So if you haven't seen, I believe it's Germany, China, a lot of parts of Europe right now. They are getting just wrecked. They are getting tore up. This is all in Germany. Remember how the Most High said these things, the pestilence, the famine, these things are made for vengeance. They happen in the UK. Who's in the UK? Who's in Europe? All these people getting wrecked up. Who is it? It's the Most High. It's His judgment. Get all that. I mean, just destroyed. They got, of course, the relief effort. Everybody, they losing everything that they got. Destroying. As much as Esau always prepares, you see all the movies where it's like the enemies that come from the sky and they think it's going to be a physical fight. How you going to fight rain? How you going to fight wind and lightning? How you going to fight an earthquake? You like, oh, this ain't going to be a physical war. If it rains, we'll build a bunker. Then that gets worn out and tore up. It's underground. We're going underground. There's an earthquake. You can't escape the judgment of the Most High. Switch it back. Can't escape the judgment of the Most High. Tore that whole little shindig up. Look at that. Car flipped. Houses wrecked. Look at that. What a coincidence that they took a picture of that. Sheesh. Mud all in the house. I mean, come on, man. That stuff's done. And that's not the only place. Death toll rises as passengers recount horror of China's subway floods. That's nightmare fuel. How many dreams? I mean, man, being in a dark tunnel in this metal tube ain't scary enough. It started flooding. The water started filling up. You got a mile to swim forward and a mile to swim backward, and the water's steadily rising. Underground. I mean, whew. At least 33 people have died and 8 remain missing in central China as authorities ramp up rescue and recovery efforts following devastating floods that submerged entire neighborhoods, trapped passengers in subway cars, caused landslides, and overwhelmed dams and rivers. So it's not even just underground. That's specifically the subway that was filled up and that they're reporting on, but it's everywhere. Torrential rains have battered Henan province since last weekend, displacing hundreds of thousands of people and causing 1.2 billion yen, about 190 million, of economic damage. Henan authorities said Thursday, home to 99 million residents, Henan is one of China's most populous and poorest provinces, with swaths of farmlands and factories. So in China, they getting beat up too. Look at that. Yep. This is July 22nd. Oh, it was updated this morning. This is this morning that they're reporting on this.
Shoot. I got a scripture on that.
Con.
Let's get Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 5 and 22. Because the Most High ain't playing. His judgment coming.
Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 5 and verse 22. And hailstones full of wrath shall be cast as out of a stone bow, and the water of the sea shall rage against them, and the flood shall cruelly drown them.
So the Most High allowing this water to just come down and drown people. Flooding the earth. So as you can see, tearing people up. Huh?
Yep.
And they like, oh, it's just Mother Nature. It's never been like this before.
It's the Most
No, that's
High.
the Most High bringing
Con.
judgment on the earth. So we got to get right, Israel.
Con.
Because he said all the sinners of my people going to die by the sword. You see he bringing his wrath on these other nations.
Mm-hmm.
And it's only going to get worse.
Con. Take us back over. Zhengzhou, I'm assuming that's how you pronounce it, the provincial capital of 12 million people, is one of the worst hit areas, with 12 killed after being trapped for hours on a flooded subway line. So that's what I was talking about. It was at least 12 people down there. But many smaller cities and villages have also been badly ravaged, with more rains forecast for the region. The death toll is expected to rise as rescue work continues. So they haven't even found everybody. Those are just the people whose bodies they've already been able to identify. So, and not just in Belgium, Germany, floods in Europe. Death toll from European floods climbs to more than 150. German military units helped clear roads Saturday and open more rescue routes into areas devastated by massive floods that claimed more than 150 lives in Germany and Belgium and raised alarms that the disaster was a glimpse into growing threats from climate change. But even as the waters receded and crews began to shore up flood-damaged buildings and roads, the death count continued to grow. German police said that more than 130 people died in flooding in western parts of the country after torrential rains that began Wednesday triggered a catastrophe that unfolded at astonishing speed. Rivers pouring over their banks, bridges buckling and hillsides giving way in a rush of mud and debris. Belgium's National Crisis Center said at least 24 people were dead. So, like I said, it's even tearing up the roads. It's doing everything. It's just destroying their whole little situation. And one other thing that I thought of that wasn't in here, there was a heat wave in Australia. What was it, last weekend? It was like 240 people dead. Hold on, keep it on us for just a quick second. I'm going to just pull it up. There it is. Go ahead, switch it over. More than 230 deaths reported in British Columbia amid the historic heat wave. This is updated June 30th. This is very recent. More than 230 deaths have been reported in British Columbia since Friday as a historic heat wave brought record high temperatures, officials said Tuesday. The province's chief coroner called it an unprecedented time. Since the onset of the heat wave late last week, the BC Coroner Service has experienced a significant increase in deaths reported where it is suspected that extreme heat has been contributory. The Coroner Service normally receives about 130 death reports over a 4-day period from Friday through Monday. At least 233 deaths were reported, the chief coroner said, adding, this number will increase as data continues to be updated. So the Most High not playing, man. These elements is coming with a vengeance. Let's get a scripture.
I got 2 Peter chapter 3, verse 10. Because man would try to cool everything off if they could and keep it cool so nobody die in the heat. But let's see what the Most High said, because he always going to give us a sign after sign after sign to show his power. Like, don't play with me. But 2 Peter chapter 3 and verse 10.
2 Peter chapter 3 and verse 10. But the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night.
So you see all them people, they died in the heat. It came as a thief in the night. They wasn't expecting all that heat to come. Go ahead.
In the which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat.
So they was in the elements, whether they was outside or in the house, they died because of heat.
Mm-hmm.
When it's extremely hot, you ever, like, I used to work this place, Peterson, and they used to make molds, and they had these ovens. You had to go in the oven, but you couldn't stay in there long. You had to push the button to let them know you was in there, push the button to let them know you came out. These ovens was over 500 degrees, but you had to put the suit on, go in there, and run out.
Damn.
So just imagine how hot it is for somebody to die in the heat.
Man.
So the Most High, he burning things up. It says the elements shall melt with fervent heat. It takes a lot to melt something. But it don't take a lot to kill you.
Right. Overheat.
They said fervent heat. How hot did the temperature say it got out?
Let me see.
On the PowerPoint, we're going to go back to that.
The exact readings in downtown Vancouver were 98.6 degrees on Saturday, 99 on Sunday, and 101.5 on Monday. So it wasn't even impossibly hot. You know, when I heard heat wave, I believe it was another one that was specifically in Australia. That's the one that I was looking for. That was like really recent. I believe a week or two ago, where the temperatures reached like 120. They was in like the 120s. It was really hot. But it's like, man, like the scripture said, the Most High is going to melt. He's going to destroy. All of these things is happening one after another. It's not like, something happened in 2017 and then 2020. It was last month, 2 weeks ago, 1 week ago, last weekend. Like, it's happening quick. Just happening. So, man,
But for it not to be that hot in that region, that would let you know that it's normally a cool region.
Mm-hmm.
just a few temperatures, a few degrees up, and it's burning people up
People
and they
die.
dying. That's the Most High.
Kind. Blazing hot and people just falling out because they can't handle the heat. But it's happening. Like Scripture said it best. Most High is doing these things for vengeance. And who's it happening to? Vancouver, Canada. And what was British Columbia and Vancouver, Canada. Most High is visiting the earth. You have something else you want to bring up?
No, I was going to try to find that.
Con, well, continue to do your research, Israel. You know, stay abreast of these things. Even cross-reference the things that we're bringing out and bring more things to us. You know, make sure that the nation is aware of what's going on, because you know the scriptures say, "Watch and pray." We don't know the day or the hour that it's going to happen, but Christ did give us signs and things for us to be able to be cautious and to be careful, so that we can prepare ourselves for the time that's coming. Get your spirit right, man, Israel. That goes for all of us. It's time for us to really get right. You have anything you want to bring out?
Oh, no, I found this Australian heat wave. The temperatures got up to 108 degrees out there. So that's enough to melt, kill you.
Oh, yeah.
If you don't have sufficient cooling, you could die from that.
Sauna temperatures.
Huh?
I said them is sauna temperatures. So you just sweating and losing all that water that whole time. Eventually you're going to die of dehydration, heat stroke. You're going to die of something. You can't run, because where are you going to go? Where you going to go? How you going to run from the sun?
You can't run from the heat.
All right. With that being said, Israel, we hope that you enjoyed this class. Be sure to like, share, and follow. We're trying to, you know, of course, spread the gospel as well as spread these classes. Don't be ignorant of anything, that Satan not gain an advantage over us. And with that, we'll say stick to the script.
And also, we have True Nation Cash App. If you want to donate, go to our True Nation Cash App. It's $ True Nation 12. You can, and also we have True Nation on Venmo. You can support us through that.
So, we're not trying to profit. We're just trying to keep the lights on and the water running.
And keep doing the work of the Most High.
Exactly.
And you could be a part of it.
Shalom, Israel.